Hello and welcome to FEMTECH Live Lounge, a monthly discussion that celebrates the intersection of technology and the AI industry. This series is presented by Virtual Patent Gateway. Today's interviewer is Lily Lim, a technologist turned lawyer advocating for innovation, including advising on artificial intelligence, intellectual property, and cybersecurity for over 2 decades. Lily has led AI legal strategy at Fortive, a conglomerate of 20 operating companies, new product and IP legal strategy at ServiceNow, a Silicon Valley software company, and was a partner at the Finnegan Henderson law firm. Joining Lily is Tanja Podnic, the SVP of AI programs at Contract Pod AI. And with that, I'll pass things over to Lily.
Thank you so much, Caitlin, and big thank you to Virtual Patent Gateway and Ashley Chung for putting this series together. This is a wonderful series that has brought together various speakers who have led the AI industry and are also female. And so this is an exciting opportunity for me, and I'm so excited to speak with Tanja Podnic today. So she comes to us from across the pond. So Tanja, let me give you the opportunity first to introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, Lily, and thank you to the team at the Patent Gateway. So exciting to be here and privileged to be amongst the incredible women you've had on the show. But I'm super excited to be chatting to you today, Lily. It's going to be a good half an hour. Do you want to start off by telling us a bit about your journey and where you are right now? I think you've got this incredible, the work that you're doing now is quite fascinating. So I'd love for the listeners to get a sense of that.
Sure. So I am a technology geek turned lawyer. So I started off my prior career as a spacecraft navigation engineer for NASA, doing orbit determination for the Magellan spacecraft that was sent to the planet Venus. So completely out of this world type of work, and it was fabulous. It was fabulous to work on the latest technology with an international team, and that really kick-started my interest into figuring out what technology can do for the world. And at some point, I did go to the dark side, as many of my friends and colleagues called it, and went into the law. I found that law was actually key to bringing technology and promoting technology. And so I've been working at kind of the intersection of technology, policy, and law for a couple decades now. And so I've worked at law firms, gaining understanding on what are the big issues that matter to companies. And then I've gone in-house to better understand how it is that we can build out, and offer more opportunities to companies to utilize technologies, and how can we get different companies to work together to even further innovate. And so that's basically my trajectory. I've loved, as I've mentioned, I've loved technology for a long time, and AI's been, actually around for quite some time. And I began counseling in the AI space over a decade ago, especially on teams that were trying to figure out, how to protect their new developments, as well as how to license in and then license out crucial data that is needed in order to build out their AI. A lot of the talk used to be on, kind of data lakes and aggregation of, data, just purely that in order to, figure out what we can do with this AI. Now we're at the stage is like, we've got a lot of data, we've aggregated it, and now we've got a lot of new tools, especially if we're looking at generative AI, that make it a lot more accessible. So it's not just geeks working on it on AI anymore. Everyone has has a place to play with AI now. And so I've had a lot of fun, counseling teams, in terms of, how to bring their products to market, what are, how to risk mitigate in a very amorphous field in that, all this is rather new. And then when you're working in counseling on new products, usually it's a new area. And so you have to, do a lot of have a lot of comfort in working in rather nebulous areas. And so, I'll leave it at that, so that, Tanja, you'll have an opportunity to tell us about your background, because you have a fabulous background too, and we'd love to hear about it.
Thank you so much, Lily. I mean, after hearing about the NASA story, there's no way that I can top that at all. I started off in construction litigation, and I was in an office with boxes and boxes of matter information, filtering through page by page and working out what's relevant and what's not. I'm beginning to think that I kind of started in the wrong path. But I think your path has been so incredible. I mean, for me, I've had this journey where I think it was like a madness moment where so many people throughout my career were saying AI and legal and technology is not a thing. Like, you really need to focus on one area. And so I was focusing on general counsel work within large law firms, and I just loved the tech space. It became very apparent to me that technology within large legal organizations, or organizations in general within the legal department, were really inefficient and really ineffective. And so one of the things that I started doing maybe about 8 or 9 years ago, when machine learning came onto the scene within the legal industry, was understanding how machine learning impacts the way that we provide legal advice to our clients, in a sense where what part of the human process are we removing, and then how are we adding technology into that and AI into that, and what risks, bit like what you were doing, like what risks are we introducing by using this technology? How do we mitigate these risks to make sure that we take advantage of these opportunities that we have? And I vividly recall multiple times speaking to my senior leadership and talking about kind of AI ethical frameworks, and we really need to understand what the vendors are doing and how they see AI and where they're taking their AI products before we implement them. And the response was time and time again, look, this is just leave that to the engineers, like, we're the lawyers, don't worry about it. And so it was complete madness to keep going down this path and saying, no, this is going to be a big thing. Like, I know that legal's going to get there. And I think with GPT and kind of AI hitting the scene as it did, it really democratized AI to the wider public and to the clients themselves, and therefore brought on that pressure for our for the organization. My role at the moment is working with Contract Pod AI, so pivoted completely from legal advisory work and consultancy at PwC recently to a legal tech vendor. The reason why I did that is because I really see the potential change and the power that AI technology can have on the legal industry specifically, because kind of this is where I've played my entire life. And I see the differentiator between what Contract Pod are doing in relation to many other providers in the market, and that is the way that they're viewing generative AI. So why are they using generative AI? Is it more AI product and I'm going to tack on something that's just integrated into ChatGPT? Or is it more about, well, what is the purpose of what problem are we trying to? And I really found with the current, they're utilizing the latest technology. And I think this is probably a key thing that you might be seeing as well. I know within there is this habit or this temptation to throw the latest technology at something and create something that may not solve a problem, right? You're creating all of these solutions, and it's because we can do it, and it's because it allows us to do it. But is it something that we should be creating? solving a problem? Is it not going to be used? So when I think about this stuff within legal, I think about it from the lens of, would a lawyer use this? How does it integrate within the workflow we're trying to do in the firm? And it's certainly something that is prevalent across legal. But I know with our experience in the field is so much more broad, and the kind of industries you play in, you heightened level, like on a completely different space. Do you want to share a bit about what you've seen in this area?
Oh yeah, sure. And I completely agree with with your thoughts there about everyone's just trying different things, and it's a bit like like everyone's throwing pasta on the wall and seeing what sticks and what doesn't stick, and so very much like in the legal tech field. I mean, we've seen this in almost everything else. Whether it be in software development, whether it be drafting marketing, promotional materials, or in just operational efficiencies. What we've seen is that there are a lot of potential applications. There are a lot of folks willing to jump in and try and see what use cases within those fields might be of particular of interest and have some great efficiencies that can be built out using generative AI, especially. What we've definitely seen, I'd say, this should come to no surprise to anyone. It's like, generative AI isn't a fit necessarily for everything. I mean, it definitely has a lot of power, but it definitely, what we're teasing out and what everyone seems to be working on is figuring out where are the sweet spots where it can be applied and really make a difference, and where are the places where other technologies or other processes make more sense. We've seen certain things that limit, for instance, where you can use generative AI. For instance, if your priority is accuracy, and it is crucial that you be at an extremely high percentage of accuracy, either in your responses to your customers when you're using a generative AI chatbot, or in some internal operations, then we've seen that generative AI, because it is predictive and therefore others kind of characterize it as creative, it doesn't say the same thing every single time, right? That's not what it was designed to do, and it's important to understand that component of the technology. It isn't something that just repeats everything the same exact way all the time. That is not what it was designed to do. It was designed to be a more creative response, and because of that, utilizing it, in areas of that require high accuracy are problematic if that's the only technology that you're trying to rely upon. And so what we've seen is like a trend towards combining different types of techniques, whether it be generative AI with retrieval augmented generation and and agents, for instance. All those things are on the tech side being experimented with, and it is incredibly interesting to see what it's doing and what the capabilities are, and where the tailoring actually helps improve efficiencies. I've seen efficiencies improved by 200% in certain cases, where you just can't make the case of, well, we shouldn't use generative AI because of their risks. I mean, if you see 200%, then you start seriously thinking about all the different mitigation techniques that should be used in order to utilize it.
That's super. Sorry, that's interesting, and I think from a legal perspective, we have come to this place where education is probably the first thing and the most prevalent thing that we need to do, like education. Exactly like you said, what is AI actually used for? Like what should you be using generative AI for? And what shouldn't you be using? Creative. If you want to work out, how you can draft a particular clause in a particular way, different wording, then fine, you can attempt to use it in that way. But if you want a deterministic answer time and time, and that's not the right process. But what a lot of people is that there is so much noise in the market and so much noise in the media about lawyers and AI basically making so many jobs redundant, and the lawyer is not going to live on because we've got this AI thing. And so there's this mismatch between expectation of what people are expected to do and also the capabilities of the tool itself. So I think marrying those two for me has probably been the biggest struggle when I speak to a lot of people in the industry, kind of continuously going, no, but that's not what you should be using generative AI for. Like this, it's a feature that it makes things up. It's a feature that, it's creative every time you ask it and you get a different. So you just need to work out what it is actually good for. And I feel like there's this mismatch in the market and mismatch in terms of knowledge and understanding, because it is such a nuanced and new kind of area that's making it quite challenging for us to adopt generative AI in the right way, because we don't actually have full visibility or understanding of what it is used for in the.
Yeah, it definitely is a challenge, and that and I think that is also the great opportunity right now. If you can figure out where it would work very well, and then also figure out where it doesn't. Right? It's use it. Finding the appropriate fit for it is the key. Whether and I feel that I've seen that in whether it's software, internal efficiencies, marketing, sales, contract drafting. That's what I feel. It's like, that, there's certain strengths to it, definitely. But then at a certain point, I'm like, wait, this is not helpful anymore at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so kind of moving on to things such as like our profession, where is our profession going? And we were just talking about how AI is going to impact lawyers and whether or not lawyers are going to be around for forever, and whether or not AI will completely take over from lawyers and from the legal profession. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think we'll still have lawyers in 10 years' time, or do you think we'll kind of be completely, we'll get over the fad of generative AI and go back to how we were?
I would say that having always been on the forefront of technology, I've never, subscribed to the doomsday, predictions that, it's going to ruin this particular profession, or it's going to ruin mankind. We'll all be like sitting on a couch, and future GPTs will just be doing all of our work and all of our functions for us. I really don't think so. And we've seen that play out already on finding out, hey, generative AI is useful in certain areas, but not others. And so when we talk about the future of the legal profession, I think it's similar. It's a new tool, that has come about, and it's as we gain new tools, we find new efficiencies. Surely there will be things that will drop out. For instance, we no longer typically look at actual hard copies anymore. We're looking at electronic copies, and that's improved our efficiencies. And do I miss the days of having to go to the library and shepherdize and actually find each reference? No, I don't. Does it decrease the number of hours that lawyers are spending on that process? Absolutely. But does did that mean the end of our profession? Absolutely not. I think generative AI similarly will bring a lot of efficiencies to us. If it can help us draft, contracts faster, identify the differences between, the provisions within different contracts, that's a lot of time savings for us. That doesn't eliminate our roles. It just makes us better lawyers. And so I'm very optimistic about the future of the profession. How about you, Tanja?
It's super. I mean, I have this discussion all the time with a lot of people. I find it so interesting because, as I mentioned, when I was in litigation, discovery was manual, and that's kind of showing my age quite a bit. But we didn't have e-discovery modules where you would just go, okay, here is all of the data, find the relevant information for me. None of it was digitized, right? It was way back when. And I think about the fact that we have more litigation lawyers than we did 15 years ago, right? So that certainly didn't eradicate the need for litigation lawyers. But I am torn in the sense of, do you need to read a contract line by line and intrinsically understand every word of it in order to be able to, in a fulsome way, understand the contract and kind of the contract and appreciate the tone and the structure of it? I find law beautiful, right? I genuinely love the law, and I love being in this industry. And now with the advent of generative AI and moving into things like, well, this can redline a contract for you, or actually we don't need to potentially have juniors reading through the contracts. Does that now mean that in 10 or 15 years time, the juniors coming out of university are not going to be as proficient as we are in terms of fully understanding the contracts, or will they need to adopt a completely different skill set? What will our clients want from lawyers in 10 to 15 years time? Is it to be able to redline a contract, or will we move completely beyond that? So I'm really excited to see where the industry goes in the next 10 to 15 years time. I think there'll be more lawyers personally, but I think we'll be doing very different things. My only kind of concern is, will we be in a position to prepare our junior lawyers or our graduates for the new brave new world? Or will we kind of fumble our way through it and not kind of get that right? Because I feel like if our education institutions and the universities and colleges don't get on board and start teaching the relevant modules and start creating lawyers in a different way, then that flow-on effect might cause some issues in the longer run.
Yeah, I think it's probably, I would agree, I see it as a twofold issue. Not only, our educational institutions, do they need to get on the path of, figuring out how these new tools can further education, and also, drive some structure into that, as opposed to, it's a little bit of a free-for-all right now, and understandably, because it is new. But also in terms of our legal profession, I think that our legal profession needs to have a better understanding that these tools will bring efficiencies. And so, the key to our profession will very much continue to be what we can do with those insights. Now that we have those insights, what are the decisions that we're making with it? When I've, negotiated, large, very, I'm getting a little feedback here. When I've negotiated, impactful, deals between large tech companies, it isn't in, if you concentrate too much on, one provision, you'll lose sight of the interplay of the whole document in itself. And so I see these tools as allowing us to see that, larger insight. As opposed to spending time trying to look for where is that provision, how does it differ from other times that we've used it, and how does it differ with with other contracts, and other similarly sized partners. I think that information gathering will be a lot faster to allow us better insights. That doesn't mean that the decision-making process is going to be foregone and given to an AI. It still resides in the attorney making that judgment. Remember, generative AI doesn't have judgment. We're the ones with judgment, and ultimately the legal profession, relies on our ability to have judgment and to counsel our clients based upon those judgments.
I love that. I love what you just said, that, because I feel like that is our differentiator in terms of us and the technology. And you're absolutely right. If we can mundane stuff of filtering through and then finding out, like what's relevant, or finding out where the limits of liability clause appears, and having that appear for you instantly, it will just enable us to spend more time exercising our judgment and advising our clients on what they really want from their lawyers, right? I think when it comes down to it, what does the client want? The client wants you to solve their problem, and the problem shouldn't be the problem that you have shouldn't be, well, I have a mid-level lawyer who's 5 or 6 years PQE reading through a 100-page document because I don't want to use the latest technology to kind of speed that process up.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of opportunities here. So yeah,
there are. It's been such a pleasure chatting with you, Lily. It's absolutely flown, but I've had such a good time.
oh, absolutely. And same to you, Tanja. It's so much fun, talking to others who have, been in this field and then really are now driving it. So it's wonderful talking to you, and this opportunity has been great. Okay, we're at the bottom of the hour right now, so we're just wrapping up here. And thank you again to VPG for putting this series, for the FEMTECH Live Lounge together. Again, it's been a wonderful opportunity to bring in yet another powerhouse in the AI field together.